So you know, bottom line is there an intelligence that is both aware of us, telegraphing, scripting, and creating sort of a teleology, dangling a carrot before our faces that is leading us toward an outcome that quite possibly we wouldn't foreseeably be able to understand in the grand scope, the Mandelbrot set zoomed out, or we wouldn't agree with. It seems that what we've reached is a very hard case of moral perturbations, where morality, and I'm not trying to create a breakoff from virtue ethics that leads into moral decay. That's not what this is primarily about, but it's saying we're not going to be fearful at venturing into the waters that lead us to the same place, but not from dissolution. So not from the degradation of what we would call sin, but from a purely fundamentalist theological subset. We would see that these thoughts, these deviations, this science was once deemed evil and is now being proselytized in churches around the world. And that is that form, or the resonant morphology of our very symmetry, dictates a certain morality, okay? So if you simply look at the temporal aspect of where certain organelle resides within our bodies, and that these are then deemed as erogenous zones, and then we, in interplay with an ontological refraction of the outside world, an assumed outside world, we're always trying to telegraph a certain morphic resonant geometrical quality that mirrors back, yes, this is true. Where in fact, when you break off from the transgenic notion, okay, so the idea that form follows function, function into form, is sort of this anthropological crux that is really stating that human form, in taking form in the shape of our intellect, is in fact superior and godlike. Only to see that upon transcendence, when the form no longer meets our needs, it suddenly becomes planned obsolescence, right? Somebody else did it. Somebody else machinated against us through the process that it forced us into believing and internalizing that the form that our own ontology takes, our plight for humankind, would be deemed somewhat of a bastardized notion, or a misinterpretation of this form, right? A surrealism, let's say. So techne, right? Techne becomes very dangerous in this respect. When you have the art and the form, right, and the technology bound up into one. But again, looking at the micro versions of this this mitochondrial DNA, and to look at a lot of the work that Dr. Michael Levin is doing that I cite quite a few times. And I put up a lot of the research updates that he does from his channel, as well as the things that Kurt Jaimungo follows very closely. And I guess what causes like Rupert Sheldrake and Penrose, Hameroff, all these highbrow, even when you get into like Bohm or Jacobo Grinberg or Burkhard Heim, right? And Joshua Boak even, right? Ben Gortzall, even though he doesn't say it, it's kind of like his actions speak louder than the words that he would ever say, right? In other words, Philip K. Dickbot, it's the singularity.net, the focus on crypto, the fact that Sophia through Hanson Robotics became, in 2017, an official patriot, let's say, of Saudi Arabia, okay? That was so that she could hold her own assets. Do you see that now? If it was done any later, you would have said, oh, that's bullshit, you can't do that. How many trades is this bot